Welcome, Pythoneers and Pythonistas. Now, what we are gonna look is a bridge to connect our external files stored inside our ROM to our Python application. Seems fascinating, right? Yes. Let's actually making a big things now. We are becoming proper Pythoneers now. Okay. Uh, so it establishes a communication between external files and Python code. So though files are a core type, though files are a core type, but they are something of an oddball. There is no specific literal syntax for generating them. There is no literal syntax for generating them. Rather, to generate a file object, you must call built-in open function, passing in an external file name and processing it as strings. After calling open, you can actually transfer strings of data to and from the associated external file by calling the returned file object methods. So now you are able to write then to read those strings inside the file. Python uses file iterators. They automatically reads one line at a time in a for loop, list comprehension or other iteration context. And most important point to remember is contents in files are not file objects, they are strings in reality. Last but not least, close is usually optional. So most of the beginners lose their interest and attention by the time they reach a files object. I would like to request you to understand this simple expression so that you can handle any type of unprecedented tasks related to files. So let's begin. First thing is to create a text output file. You would pass in its name, and we use w we use w processing mode strings to write data, and to read back what you have just wrote, reopen the file in our processing mode for reading the text input. This is the default. If you omit the mode in the call and then read the file's content into a string and display it. If file's contents are always a string in your script, regardless of the types of data the file contains. The most important point to be noted is regardless of the types of data the file contains, all or inside the file or strings. Okay, fine, fantastic. So now just let's look into some of the operations that we can do with the files. So here if you see, output is equals to open and some stuff inside the parenthesis. So here what it does is it creates an output file. Output here is a file handler, and then a file location is given there, and W means you write something. It's for the processing mode, right? It's a processing mode. Then another file we have input, again open is inbuilt function. So here data.txt is the file name, and R means it's a processing mode read. So basically this now we are opening the file in a processing mode or a reading mode. Now, so we got our file handlers or file handles, that is input and output. So by using these file handles, input or output, we can do some operations. For example, input, whatever is there inside that file, if you want to read, you just use a read method dot read. So it read entire file into a single string. And when I say input dot read of n, read up to the next n characters. N means a number of characters, n characters into a string. When I say read lines method, it reads entire file into a list of line strings. And when we say just line, read line, it read next line including new line into a string. So if you want to write something to that file handle, then you use a write method, and whatever string you want to include in that file, you just mention in that callable bracket or callable parenthesis, write a string of characters. And other method is write lines, mention a list, write all lines string in a list into a file. And if you use dot close or close method, it will manually closes the file. It is optional. If you don't close it, still it will be closed. And flush, when you say flush, it will flush output buffer to disk without closing it. And if you use a for loop, you can do the file iterations line by line. So now we will move on to file in action, and then we will do some hands-on. We'll create one file and we will add some strings into it, and then finally we'll read whatever strings that we have mentioned inside that file. So here if you see files in action, normally we do basic operations and then file iterations. File iterations is nothing but it's using for loop, whereas basic operations, here whatever we have mentioned earlier, the same thing. Open a file, write something, and then add some strings, and then close the file, and then open a file in a read mode, and read the whole file in a different, using different methods, read line or read lines. And then you can use you can use file iteration, that's a for loop, to read each item by item in iteration mode. So let's quickly jump into the Python code. That's a basics, that's files basics and in action. Let's begin with creating a text file to write some strings. Okay, so I'll what I am doing here is I am using open inbuilt function. With this inbuilt function, the system understands that we want to communicate with the external files in our ROM, and then the file name is, I just want to name that file as file1.txt, that's a text file. I want to open this file in processing mode as W, that means in a writing mode. And I want to store this file object. So once you use this with open function, inbuilt function, what you make is a file object. Now I just want to store this file object or reference this file object with a Sloka file name variable. This is our reference variable. So, or in other way we call it as a file handle, because if you want to do some operations, or if you want to apply some methods to it, or at the end we have to use this Sloka file name only. So that's why we call it as a file handle. Okay, so now I will execute this and we will check whether we have created a file or not. We got the file1.txt. Of course it is 0 kb, nothing is there in it, so we'll write something in it, and then we will read it back. Okay, so as of now nothing is there in the file1.txt. So now what I want to do is I want to write a string of characters. It's hara hara shambho. Okay, that's what I want to write. Basically this is nothing but Shiva. It's a Shiva Shambho Shambho. It's a song, and Shiva Mahadeva. So this is the song I just want to write in this file. Hara Shambho Shambho Shiva Mahadeva Shambho Shambho Shiva Mahadeva. So I just want to create a file which actually writes a lyrics of a certain devotional song. So this is what my motto is. You just follow this how I'll do it. So now, so I told you Sloka file, the referencing variable name, I call it as a file handle. We will use this as file handle, and I will use write method, and whatever lyrics I want to, the string I want to include in that file, I will write here. See here, hara, and then backward slash hara, and then backward slash tab. This is escape sequence. This is for the tab space, and then hara, and then backward slash n, which will the whatever the next line is there, we will enter into the new line, and then shambho shambho will come in the new line, and then shiva will come in new line because of backslash n, and then backslash t will give you a tab space, and finally Mahadeva. This is what I just want to enter. I will enter it and let's see. Okay, so total it's 47 characters are there. Of course, the backslash, the escape sequences will also be counted in it. Okay, now before so now this is what we have written, and we will add further lyrics of this song, and uh, once we completely adding the lyrics of this song into this file, and then finally we will read those files with different methods. So now I will write. So here Sloka file is our handler, file handle, and then we want to write some strings, so that's why I used a write lines method. So now in this I have taken a list, and then I have written all the strings whatever is required. In first line, see, if you see backward slash n in the first line, it's har har shambho shambho shambho, and then in second line Shiva Mahadeva, and third line again Shambho Shambho, and in fourth line Shiva Mahadeva, and then it repeats, and finally other lyrics. So this is how I wanted to store it in our file. So I'll just execute this as a Sloka file. So it got executed. I hope it will be added in our in our file1.txt. So let's manually close this sloka file. Okay, file handle. And now what we will do is we will open and read the same file, and we will see what all it consists of. Now the sloka file is the same file handle name I want to use, and open is the inbuilt function, and then file1.txt is the one, and then I want to open this file in a read mode, a processing mode as a read. Okay, so now once I use a open inbuilt function, obviously uh, this sloka file will become a file object. So let's execute this and let's open it. Okay, now let's read this whatever is there inside it. Okay, now sloka file is our file handle, and I use a read method, read the strings in file using the read method. So I just want to store whatever there in it in that file1.txt into input variable. Let's print it and check. That's it. This is what. See how nicely it has come. Because of using that escape sequences and everything, I have got it very properly. Hara Hara Shambho Shambho Shiva Mahadeva. And then if you see the bottom lyrics, Karpura Gaurav, line by line, line by line. This is how you make files properly. So if you use, this is the power of strings and their specific methods and escape sequences. And when you use everything, when you put all things together and everything fall into place, this is how it works. Okay, now let's use some other methods to read entire file. Okay, read entire file into list of line string. So okay, this is a different way. I'll use file one again and the same file handle. Now I want to read it with a different method, that's a read lines. Let's see. Now when you use a read lines, what we got is a list of strings in it. That's it. That's the benefit. If you want if you want a list of strings from the file, your file1.txt, then you can use a read lines method. Then what we'll do is read each line sequentially as a string. We want it as a string only, but as sequentially. So for that what we'll do is we'll again use the same file handle, and we will open it in a read mode. Then sloka file handle dot read line, not read lines, read line will open it one by one. If you use read lines, it will make a list. So here see how nice, line by line, line by line, like iterable, file is also an iterable. See now Shambho Shambho, now Shiva Mahadeva, then Hara Hara Shambho 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 Shambho, then Shiva Mahadeva. So like that you will get line by line, line by line. So that when you use a read line, you will get line by line. So now the final one is file iteration, read line by line using for loop. We will use a for loop, for, and then line is loop variable, and then n is membership operator, and then open function, and put that file. So what I'll do is file1.txt, that's what we have created, and print each line. Let's see each line has come, how nicely has come, complete lyric. Of course I did not put the complete lyric, but still. So this is the power of a file. This is the power of a file object. Basically, to summarize, a file object is made using a open function, and you reference a open function with a variable, then it will become a file handle. And you can use a different methods such as write, read, read line methods to write and read that file. So with this, we are finishing file object, and then we will move into the another objects in next session. And by the time, keep watching another videos, and keep subscribing it, and then keep liking it, and keep spreading the word of mouth to your friends, so that everybody can learn and grow. Thanks, and thanks again. See you again in